Virginia was up for anything, and this was back in the 1970s when Soho was really still an artist neighborhood. She was just taking in all the changes that were going on in those times and didn't live too far from the original location of Dieu, Donné, which was 3 Crosby Street. When she came in, she was incredibly curious and really a lovely person too. We showed her some samples of things that we had been doing in some of our experiments, and she immediately figured out how to apply what she was doing in oil painting to the paper making process.
The early paper pieces are very geometric, linear, and subtle. If you held her work up to light, you would be able to see through the watermarked areas of the piece. So the work, it looks very ethereal and delicate, almost has a very stately characteristic to them. I know she was very interested in Teotihuacan and her own heritage and the relationships between magical, geometric symbiology.
What was visible always in her work is this play of density, where your eye actually picks up the density of how much color is in there. And the lines that are drawn come from the laid lines of the mold. So they do have a very mysterious quality to them, and they have a sense of depth of going in and out.
She had done some paintings with lines in them. She was doing washes of very thin paint on canvas, so there was some correlation, I think, between the pulp that's in a vat that you're dipping the mold into to form a sheet of paper. So there's this action, I believe, that might have attracted her in a similar process of doing her paintings and correlating it with what we're doing in the process of paper making.
She's working with the structure. That's what's unique about paper making. You're never working just on the surface. You can. It's always a sheet of paper. But it's really working with the structure. And that's where her whole sense, the geometry of her compositions, that was the structure. And then working with the fluid process and all of these elements, that's where the spontaneity came through. In a lot of her work, things are falling apart at the same time that they're holding still. In a fast-moving world, having something like that to look at, it is a form of meditation, of holding still.